Court's decision on Arizona's controversial immigration law. The court struck down 3 parts of the law, but upheld the section that allows police officers to check a person's immigration status while enforcing other laws. The Obama administration expressed support for the decision, says it will not be a willing partner in Arizona's efforts to arrest undocumented people unless they meet federal criteria. Mitt Romney's camp remains kind of evasive on the issue while campaigning in Arizona. Mitt Romney did not say whether or not he agreed with the High Court's ruling. Instead, at a private fundraiser, he said this.
You probably heard that there was a Supreme Court decision related to immigration. And, given the failure of the immigration policy in this country, I would have preferred to see the Supreme Court give more latitude to the states, not less. And the states now in this decision have less authority, less latitude to enforce immigration laws.
Carlos Gutierrez is the honorary co-chair of the Romney campaign's Hispanic Steering Committee. He's also the former Commerce Secretary under President George W. Bush. He's an immigrant himself from Cuba. Nice to see you, sir, as always. Thanks for talking with us. This was interpreted as a win, a big win. If you listened to Jan Brewer last night, she said it was a victory for the rule of law, a victory for the people of Arizona and the people of America, a victory for the 10th Amendment. Do you see this as a victory?
I see this as one big mess throughout the country, and the reason that we're in this mess is because the president has failed to provide leadership. What's going to happen now, Soledad, is going to get worse because we don't have that leadership. All states are going to start splintering, and we're going to keep on splintering the country into different immigration laws when what we should have is leadership to have one national immigration policy, which is exactly what Governor Romney wants to do.
So let's talk about Governor Romney specifically. What exactly is his position on SB 1070? Does he support the one provision that now stands?
Well, let me say this, Soledad, and I have been for immigration reform as long as I can remember, and I have the battle scars to prove it. But I believe that as the governor does, that every country in the world has the right and the obligation to secure its borders, to know who's coming in, to know who's leaving. It's a right, it's an obligation, every country does it. What is alarming here is that there appears to be a need to convince the president that part of his job is to secure the borders and part of his job is to ensure that we know who's coming in and who's going out.
But my question, sir,
this.
was not about President Obama. My question was about Mitt Romney and specifically this one provision of SB 1070. Does he support it as it now stands?
As I mentioned, the governor supports the right of border states and the country at large to protect its border, to protect its integrity. It's not an anti-immigration issue.
That is not the question, and I get it, and I think there's a zillion people who would agree with you, but on this particular thing, what has been interesting to me to see the degree to which Mitt Romney has been dodging what is kind of a yes-no question. Let me play a little bit of, I think his name is Rick Gorka, he's a spokesperson, he was talking to reporters on the plane. 16 questions he was asked by reporters. Dodge, dodge, dodge. Listen.
This debate is informed from the president's own position, where each state is blessed and has the power to draft and enact their immigration policy.
But the Arizona law does very specific things. The governor supports those things with the Arizona law.
Read the judgment.
What is his position on the actual law?
Each state has the right in the Constitution to draft their own immigration law.
But the DC Arizona did a good job.
That went on for 7 full minutes, and he didn't really answer the question. So I'm going to just say it one more time. The part of the law that stands in SB 1070 is this. Requires police to check the immigration status of anyone they detain or arrest if they have reasonable suspicion if that person is in the country illegally. Does Mitt Romney support SB 1070? Yes or no?
Soledad, it's a little bit more complicated. Let me just say that.
No,
what the governor has said, and he made a statement yesterday. he supports the right of border states to do what they have to do according to the law.
And does that include stopping and detaining anyone and check the immigration status of that person if they have reasonable suspicion, if the person is in the country illegally? I'm not just sparring with you, sir. As you know, this is the critical, central, most controversial portion of this bill, and Governor Romney has not said if he supports it or not.
But this is not about Governor Romney. This is about President Obama's lack of leadership.
I think there are Democrats who would agree with you on that, sir, in some cases, but we're talking about Governor Romney for this moment, and it's kind of a yes-no question.
We shouldn't distract the situation and put it on Governor Romney's lap.
I want to know what his position is on it. I don't think that's a distraction.
His position is that we have a mess and we need a national policy.
So let's
and we
talk
need
about
leadership.
his policy. I agree. Let's talk about his policy. I think there's a zillion people who would agree we kind of have a mess on our hands. So let's talk about Governor Romney. He wants to be the next president of the United States. Let's talk about his policy plans. What does he think about 1070? It's a yes-no question. Support, don't support. Yes or no?
That's where we're wrong. I'm sorry, Soledad. That's where we got this all wrong. Policy is not this one single sliver of this law.
In this case, it is. It is. It's actually one sliver. 3 were shot down by the Supreme Court.
The policy is we need a national, federal immigration policy that starts with legal immigration.
Agreed. But specifically on this question, I feel like, and I think a rational person would agree with me, Governor Romney and his people who speak for him are completely dodging this question. Let's move on for a second.
Governor Romney supports the right of the states to protect their borders. The Supreme Court has issued the law.
But that's not my question. My question is not that. That's a great answer, but not to my question. My question is about SB 1070, and he has not said if he supports it or not. But I'm going to say we're going to agree to just move on because I'm not going to get an answer. I want to talk to you a little bit about the DREAM Act, which I know you support. And Mitt Romney, as you well know, he has said that he would veto the DREAM Act if he got into office. He's also hasn't really said what he would do in the wake of the president's executive order, which would allow young people who came across the border without documents illegally in this country. What would he do for those young people? Would he reverse the president's executive order?
I'll tell you what Governor Romney is going to do when he becomes president. He wants to bring together a bipartisan group to finally get this issue resolved.
Would he reverse President Obama's executive order?
Why would he say what he's going to do when we have a Congress that hasn't done its job? This is an opportunity to push Congress to do something before this executive order or executive decision lapses. So Governor Romney wants to tackle the problem. He wants to solve the problem, Soledad. We have had a president that hasn't...
But he wants to solve the problem, sir. He wants to solve it without giving any details. I think that is fair to say. We've had a 5-minute conversation, and there's been no simple questions and no answers.
We want a national immigration strategy for legal immigration. Within that, we're going to have to work in a bipartisan way to deal with the 12 million undocumented workers. It's a very complex thing. You want a one sentence for a 700-page bill. What we do know is that President Obama has not done it.
I want a one-sentence answer to a specific question. I'm happy to talk for hours, and we could work our way through the 700-page bill. But I do think that we're very... Yeah, we could do that. I do think we're very low on specifics. Would he overturn an executive order is a yes-no question. Does he support Bill 1070 is a yes-no question. And you're not the only Romney spokesperson who does not answer that question. So I'm going to say...
Soledad, you're making this issue about Governor Romney. This is an issue about President Obama's total lack of leadership, total lack of delivering on promises. That's why we're in this mess.
And I believe you and I we could have a conversation about that as well. But
that's the issue. We're distracting things.
Of course, for Republicans, it's the issue, and you want to say that it's all President Obama's fault, and you can absolutely have that conversation. But I just want to know what the plan is when it comes to Governor Romney. A separate issue of President Obama, and I think there are Democrats who agree with you. But for Governor Romney, what's the plan?
In fact, Governor Romney said what he wants to do is, instead of a patchwork, instead of a DREAM Act, a supposed DREAM Act that expires in 2 years, he wants something permanent. He wants to work in a...
Specifics, and not legal. Talk to me about illegal immigration. Name specifics that he's going to do.
He wants to work in a bipartisan way to have a national immigration policy. If you'd like, we can go through the 700 pages
You and I are going to do that, sir.
But you can't, come on, you're trying to simplify something that is terribly complex. What is clear and really simple is that we have not had leadership on this issue, and that's why we have the mess we have today.
I think you're trying to make more complicated something that is a yes-no question, sir. I truly believe that. But I'm going to take you up on your offer that we're going to go through all 700 pages.
The real issue.
All right, nice to see you, sir. Always a pleasure to spar with you early in the morning, first thing. Thank you.